Welcome to the Rollercoaster Ride of Business with Hannah Edwards on Global Voice Radio. Hannah and her guests share the real deal, the ups and downs, the highs and lows of building a business. Here is your host, Hannah Edwards.
Hey guys, and welcome to the latest episode of the Rollercoaster Ride of Business. I'm your host, Hannah Edwards, and today I am joined by Denise Thompson, and we're going to be talking about accountability, and you seem like the perfect person for me to talk to about it.
Well, thank you, Hannah. I appreciate you asking me to be on your show. And of course, I love talking with you, and we always have such a great time. And accountability is a huge topic, a huge concept. Exactly. So I definitely feel that we can provide tips or at least a perspective to help all of our listeners.
So you said it's a huge topic. This is actually part 2 of my show on it. Last week, I introduced Sarah Ankney, who is my accountability partner, and we spoke about what it is that makes an accountability partner for us, like why we wouldn't use some people, why we prefer to use other people and stuff, and the tools that we use for ourselves. And then we actually went, I want to say a bit off topic, but it tied in because we were saying about the fact that where there are so many people competing in business, having an accountability partner helps you like check in, because I find I'm turning to that person before I'm like making a complaint about anything. I'm turning to her and being like, right, let me just see if this is me, or like, am I in the wrong about this kind of thing? And it kind of helps me hold myself accountable for things before I put them out there. And they're the same for her. And then it's just one small step in stopping business owners tearing each other down, I guess.
Right. Well, that's a very good point that, when we have an accountability partner per se, or we have that trusted agent that we can run things by.
Yeah.
I think that's very important, because as human beings, things happen in business that we react to.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't help our business or our mood, right? Our mindset when we start sending an email, or we start posting on Facebook, or we start talking about someone to someone else.
Yeah.
And so that's a good perspective and a good tip for all of our listeners is, before you react to something that has happened, who do you trust to process it with and to talk about?
Definitely. I mean, for me, because of everything that I have going on with the job, starting a new job soon, and running my businesses, I need someone to kind of keep me in check, because my days off from like my day job, I sit there, I'm like, oh, it's fine, I can do that in a bit, and then the end of my day gets here and I'm like, crap, what did I actually do today? So having Sarah there going, I'm just checking in, how are you actually getting on with your list? And I'm going, yeah, I'm doing great, like I'm only just loading the computer up and it's 5 o'clock in the evening.
Right. Well, another important word that you just said in regards to accountability is having a list.
Yeah.
However someone's going to track it, and I know that you use online tools. You mentioned Trello earlier, and there's some other ones. For me, who's not quite as techy as you are, and some of the younger generation, I like writing things down. And there's different categories, right? When we talk about accountability, we're accountable to ourselves. So what's on our list that we need to do for ourselves?
Yeah.
And hopefully we're looking at our health, right? Are we exercising? Are we drinking enough water? Are we meditating? Are we taking breaks? Are we eating healthy? And I find when I write reminders to myself, to my, holding myself accountable personally, I do a better job at taking care of myself.
Yeah, see, I have all of the online tools. But I recently went out and I bought, because I love the idea of just ticking something off the list, just seeing it on there. So I have a book that is literally dedicated now, and it even says on the front, things to do today. It's got the date in the top corner. It's got a list. It's got one column where you can number the priority of them. And then it's got all those little boxes that you can tick off and just feel more successful.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And it helps you to be focused.
Yeah. I mean, I've used that for myself. But for me and Sarah, so we've got a Trello board set up that I've set up and she comes in on. And then it's got like Hannah's to do section, Sarah's to do section, any questions, like, and I don't think she was expecting it to be set up quite that OCD like. Just to put it out there. I literally put it up and I was just like, yeah, so here's the link. And she was like, wow. She's like, it looks good. I was like, well, I kind of warn you that I have a bit of OCD, but then I'm still getting into that habit again of, oh, it's a day off, let's just rest, and then realize where my day's going.
Mm-hmm. Well, and when we make a list for one day or a week, a month, whatever we're making it for, when something comes up and it interrupts our schedule, interrupts our day, we're able to go back and figure out, what did I miss? Or what has to be a priority right now because I didn't get it done the day or week before, and it does need to be done, because what are the consequences of not doing it? What's the ramifications? One of the things I was thinking about when you had asked me to talk to you about accountability, what came to mind is there's two parts to the concept of accountability. One part is we're accountable to someone, right? Yeah. We have to keep in mind that we're accountable to someone of which we're accountable for something.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes, and I had to think back about my own accountability behaviors. And I think sometimes that we get focused on the intangible thing and we forget that accountability is a relationship.
Yeah.
Right? We have agreed with someone, whoever that may be in the world, in the universe, right? Some accountability is to our higher power.
Yeah.
And we're accountability for whatever that thing, that task, the creation is. And I think if we don't keep the fact that it's a relationship, I think that's when the task is easier to let go of, or the completion of that task may not happen.
Yeah.
Because we're thinking, oh, that's just a thing. That's just a task. That's just a deadline that wasn't met. But what about the relationship then? What about the accountability to, and what happens with that relationship?
Yeah, I mean, I find that I'm more focused on stuff that I've told Sarah I'm going to do. So what I've put on my little section of the Trello board, I find that I'm more focused on that, because then I know if I've put that up there, she's then sending me a message, and damn it, for me having Facebook Messenger on my phone, I'm easy accessible now to be tweeting on. What a mistake that was. But I'll get a message going, okay, so you said that this was your goal, how's it going? Or this was your goal, how's it going? And it's like in Dr. Rob's group, he puts the thing up saying, so what are you committing to this week? I'll check in on you all and stuff like that. And even then, because I've put it out there and other people can see it, I'm like, crap, I've actually got to do that now. Why did I say I would do it?
Right, exactly. And when we think about how a concept actually happens, we have a thought about it, and then we speak about it, and then we write about it, and each step makes this concept, this idea, this thought more concrete, more real. So you're correct, especially when you're writing to the group, right? And you and I see it, so we know
Yeah.
what each one of us is saying we're going to do. It's real. So that in some ways we're accountable to the group. The group's accountable to us to see that we've followed up. Absolutely. So now we have even more people cheering us on as we're cheering them on in regards to completing the goal of the week.
Although I did sit there after putting my post up of what I was going to get done by next week and go, why the hell did I just say I was going to do all of that? That's not all going to get done, but I put it out there. I've done it now. I've got to.
Right. Maybe it's a month goal, but it still helps for us also to think a little bit of ahead. Yeah. I mean, if we only write down what we absolutely know we can get done, then we're also not working to our potential.
Absolutely.
We want to stretch ourselves a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, the thing I love about Sarah is I can turn and say to her, it's been a really bad day. Like, I'll load the computer up later. And she's not one of those types of accountability partners that are then, but you said you were going to do this and you said you were going to do that. And I think it's important that you've got someone on your side. Like you, I mean, I told you I was going to have an article for pictures and an ad to you, like, day before yesterday. I haven't got it all done yet. But you understand, if I turn around and say to you, this has just happened, it's not that I'm not getting to it, but you're also there, like, just that gentle reminder of, have you sent me this? And I think that's what's needed in when you've got the accountability partner, is someone that's not going to nag at you, because otherwise it just stresses you out. And then for me, I put the brakes on even more. I'm like, well, no, I'm not going to get it done. Like, if they're going to constantly be in my messenger going, oh, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this, the brakes go on a bit. And I know it's stuff that I've said that I want to get done, but I'm not going to do it if I've got someone sat there going, but you said you were doing it, and you said you were doing it, and you said you were doing it. Because it's that kind of that like little rebellion part that's just like, no, I don't think I'm going to do it.
Well, and one of the things is also in regards to you providing me information, I know if I needed it last night when we were private messaging, I could have said, Hannah, I really do need it now.
Yeah.
How can I help you to get it done?
Absolutely.
And so in some ways, that's where it goes back to the relationship and communication about the task, about the agreement, and not avoiding when there is something that we should have done. And it's easy to avoid, right? Yeah. Because if we're accountable to someone for a task and we're not doing it, we might feel guilty, or we might think, what are they going to say if I don't get it done, right? We create this story that then we spend time on that story and the emotion instead of doing the task or talking to the person and getting a deadline changed or working through another way to get something done.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, I find that having people that have that gentle bit of, okay, well, I need it, how can I help you? As opposed to, well, I need it, but I'm just going to nag you until you get it done. Like, I don't do my best work when I'm constantly being nagged at. That's the thing. Like, if I had sent you a piece of writing after you, like, and you'd spent God knows how long nagging at me, it would have been the worst piece of writing I've ever written.
Right. Because then we're not in that productive mindset, right? We're not, and I agree. For me, writing, I have to be in a specific mindset. And sometimes it is right before the deadline that I'm energized and I'm motivated and I can write, which doesn't necessarily serve me or the person waiting for whatever I'm writing. But I can sit for hours and think and nothing comes out. Then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I have to write 4 or 5 pages in 30 minutes and I can just type it out and it's good. I mean, not that I want to share a secret from when I was in college, but I would oftentimes do that. Sometimes I'd forget, right? Oh my God, there's a paper due. And then I would get an A on it. And I stayed up all night just typing. And then others worked on it forever. But I mean, for me, that was just, I was lucky, right? Yeah. I mean, I am intelligent, but also, thank God, I don't even remember if I had a computer at that time, right? When did computers come into play? But I would sometimes, I'm better and more energized and get things done at the last minute. But that's not helpful in the long run. Because when we wait till the last minute, then how many things are piling up?
I know that feeling, because now my to-do list has got longer because I decided like I wouldn't do anything. All of Saturday, I didn't touch my computer. So Sunday morning, I woke up and I was like, I'm going to go downstairs and I'm going to get it done. And then there was a movie on the television that I really liked that now I regret turning the television on. But so I sat and I watched the movie, and then my cat decided she was going to come and lie on my lap, because it's like sense when I'm going to pick my computer up, because that's when she comes for a cuddle. And I'm just like, this really isn't helpful. So it was about 5-6 o'clock last night before I even did anything. And then I was just like, well, now I just can't do anything because nothing in me wants to flow.
Well, one of the questions, I guess, that comes to mind for each of us is, how can we change how we are being accountable? Yeah. How can we change our attitude towards our list?
Yeah.
Because it really does come down to mindset. And so in some ways, it's, creating the list and then focusing on the list, right? In some ways, we have to like our list. What is on our list that we need to do? And if we do it, what's the benefit to us?
Absolutely.
And I think sometimes people may forget to understand the outcome or the benefit, because that can motivate us, right?
Yes.
As children, if we cleaned our room, then we get to go outside and play. If we did our homework, we may get ice cream. Yes. If we do what our parents or teachers ask, there's a benefit. And I think maybe as adults, we don't write down the benefit, or we don't think about that benefit. We look at our to-do list and it's like, wow, I have to do all these things.
Yeah.
And it doesn't sound fun. But what if we get to do these things? We choose to do these things, and the benefit is the fact that it builds our business, which creates income, which allows freedom.
Yeah.
And so sometimes it's not just focusing on the list. It's taking that moment to get in touch with how this benefits not only the person that I'm doing this for or the client, but it benefits me. And I want to get in touch with that benefit and feel good and feel empowered and experience that.
Yeah.
And then I'm more motivated to do my list.
This is it. I think I need to try that when it comes to my housework list as well, to be honest with you.
Well, yeah, housework's on my list too. Which I haven't gotten yet to today. One of the benefits of working at home is, yes, I can throw laundry in, but it still takes some time, right? It still takes
it out afterwards
to get that done.
The machine does the rest. It's the hanging it out afterwards. And then I'm standing there hanging my washcloth thinking, well, I could be doing this right now.
Right. So now you can try. I'm hanging my laundry out, and the benefit of this is
I'm gonna have clean clothes.
And they smell fresh, right? Yeah. They're clean and fresh, and I have something to wear tomorrow.
Exactly. It's getting to that point though. I really need to start thinking like that when it comes to my housework, because I sit down and I'm like, do I do the dishes or do I go and create something for the magazine? And the magazine always trumps, because I really hate standing and having to wash up. Well,
one of the things that, a few weeks ago that I had and this may sound to most people like, oh, but I always do that. And to those of you who always do this, then I'm glad that you have this habit and that you take accountability for it. But I had found that things were piling up in the sink. I mean, not things, dishes.
Yeah.
Because it's easy when you're done with a cup or a glass or a plate, you put it in the sink, and then at some point it will go in the dishwasher. But I realized that, you know, talking about accountability, I wasn't being accountable to myself in regards to having the sink clean.
Yeah.
Right? In regards to rinse it off. Yes, I rinse off dishes before I put them in the dishwasher. Rinse them off and put them in as they are used. And I sort of felt, you know, after doing this for several weeks, I'm like, I like how my sink looks now. It's not cluttered.
Yeah.
Now, I have not uncluttered everything in the house, but that was a small step. I thought about it. I talked to myself about it, and it's like, now I'm doing it. And it's a very simple 5-second thing.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing is, though, when the dishes are all clean, I have to take them out. I can put 31 right. So there's another thing to be accountable to myself. But it was a small thing, but it's like, you know what? I like the look of no dirty dishes in the sink.
Yeah.
And I hadn't realized I had sort of allowed that to happen, to build
Absolutely.
up.
So I'm going to ask you, before we wrap this up, what your tips are for someone either holding themselves accountable or like working with an accountability partner.
Mm-hmm. So I don't have a specific accountability partner. I think it's a great idea. And at different points in training in my life, I have had one.
Yeah.
And when it has worked best to have an accountability partner is that each person agrees to the terms of that partnership.
Yeah.
So each person knows. Now, what I have found that does not work in regards to being accountable, whether it's with a client, whether it's with a joint venture collaboration, is when you do not have clear guidelines, deadlines, and agreement on what the scope of work is. So one of the things I'm trying to make sure I do now is have, working with clients or working with in collaborations, is being clear on those points. And it can be a negotiation, but without that accountability contract per se, then there's too much room for things not to go smoothly.
Definitely.
I also, for me personally, I do in my calendar, and ironically, you know, in my past life, I was a therapist. And so my calendar is per the 30 minutes. And I have had that style of calendar for 30 years. And so for me, writing down what are my calls, right? What are my appointments?
Yeah.
Where am I going to do certain work? And it's clear to me on each day what I hope to get done. And it's crossing that off. It's looking at the progress. It's rescheduling as necessary and rescheduling as soon as possible something that didn't happen.
Definitely.
Instead of waiting several days, like, oh, I need to reschedule that. Now, where am I going to put it? And now I'm up to a deadline.
Yeah.
I also find myself, you know, checking the schedule several times a day just to make sure, am I on track? If I'm not, what do I need to switch around because something else has happened? But I really think it goes back to being clear on what is it that you're accountable for and who are you accountable to, and then keeping track of the progress.
Sounds good. I think I definitely need to start tracking what I'm doing more so that I can find out where I'm spending all this time that I could be actually doing my work on. and stop watching so many movies when I get up in the mornings.
Well, and sometimes we need that downtime. We need that non-work time. But yes, I would recommend if somebody is spending a lot of time possibly avoiding work or doing things that are non-productive and don't benefit their future goals, then I would definitely recommend that they maybe need to have a good conversation with themselves and figure out, why am I doing this other behavior that I'm seeing and saying is getting in the way of what I want in life?
Absolutely. Sounds good. So, guys, I've actually really enjoyed this conversation, and I think maybe in a couple of weeks' time we need to check back in with Denise and work out if she's still holding herself accountable for everything and how my accountability is going. So thank you for joining me, Denise. It's been great to have you on.
Well, thank you very much.
Guys, you can find Denise on the Global Voice Radio page on Facebook. You can also find me there. Or you can find me at Empowered VA or Empowered Magazine. And thanks for listening. Thank you.
Thank you for listening. Join Hannah Edwards and the Rollercoaster Ride of Business every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern on Global Voice Radio, where your voice is heard.